let's go ahead and jump in and talk market stats. So first, I'm not sure how close y'all follow this, but everybody's heard of RPAC before. RPAC is the realtor political activist something. I can't remember the exact acronym, but basically we all donate to that. A majority of us do. And then that helps us from the legal side of things. So one of the biggest things that RPAC is known for is the lack of tax or fighting taxation on services. So a few years ago, there was some legislature out there that basically wanted to tax the services, meaning every time that somebody bought a house, they would be paying taxes, not above and beyond real estate taxes, but even taxes on commission. We would get taxed extra. Anyways, long story short, it would take a bunch of money out of our pocket. And that was just one great example of what RPAC was able to do in order to keep from disrupting our industry. Well, they just had the Kentucky legislative session just wrapped up. And there were 4 bills that passed that were related to real estate. 2 in particular that I'm a big fan of that I wanted everybody to know, because I know a lot of you either invest in houses or work with investors a lot. And the first one is HB 10, which basically allows a property owner or his or her authorized agent to request a law enforcement officer to immediately remove a person unlawfully occupying real estate. So previously, if somebody was sitting in, maybe let's just say one of your rentals or one of your clients' rentals, and they weren't supposed to be there, then, say whatever, like you had to evict them or something along those lines. That can be a process that can take 7 to 30 days, depending on how your lease is written and a bunch of other things. So there was that, and this kind of allows them to remove them. It also goes on to protect the officers from any civil cases for removing them. And then there was a second part, which is the squatter clause, which is HB 142, which does the same thing, allows people to immediately remove somebody who shouldn't be in there, but also, and this is a big deal, to provide criminal and civil, not that part, I already said that. Oh, here it is. Specifically include damage to residential or commercial property caused by the squatters. So previously, if somebody, say somebody came in, you had a vacant home and somebody came in and lived in there and just destroyed it, there was really no recourse for the financial harm done to the owner of the property. So now my interpretation, not being a lawyer, and they haven't really came out and said exactly the impact of these 2 laws that literally just got passed. My interpretation is that we'll be able to seek, at least through civil court, some sort of repercussions for property damage and things like that. More importantly, we can now expedite the process of getting people out of homes that should not be in the homes. So big difference in the 2 bills is this one directs squatters, which means they never had a right to be in the home. They're literally just squatting in the property. And the first bill is more about a tenant who maybe violated the lease or leases up and has chosen not to leave at this point. So 2 bills and 2 financial, 2 things that RPAC is doing to help us out.
I just like that. Mine says immediately removed instead of giving them
7-day notice or 30-day notice or whatever.
You're sliding your home like you're in the wrong. Like,
yeah,
get out.
And even like, on my leases, so I push the limits on all of them, and the lowest the lawyer would allow me to write in was 7 days. Yeah. So you had to do at least 7, and now it can be immediate.
Yeah, because what makes me worried, that one house that we own over at Falls Road, which is in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep showing it with one eye open. I'm like, please don't be somebody here. Please don't be somebody here. And
right.
Thankfully, it's not, but that makes me feel better. Make them basically get out now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if they're not supposed to be there, call the authorities and they'll move. It almost, you would think trespassing would constitute immediate removal, but for whatever reason, it didn't.
Did you see, I think Greater Owensboro posted it, or somebody, about the guy trying to get info on agents or whatever, like a lady agent. And
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was what Bobby's talking about. Is I don't remember the exact situation. I kind of glanced through it, but somebody called to see a home, ended up calling back wanting information on the agent, basically find out is it a woman, what's their age, like all this stuff. Well, somebody, thankfully, I think it was Mary Ann Steele maybe, or it could have been somebody else, I don't remember. They looked him up in the Forewarn app and saw he had all kinds of charges against him. Oh, wow. So just a great use. Don't forget, especially if you do, I know your group does a lot of online lead generation. Make sure you're using that Forewarn app because it's free to everybody. Double check with who you're meeting with, right? Or take somebody with you. And then also, great time to remind everybody of our red file policy. Here you go, mark it down. covered it this quarter. I'm supposed to do this once a quarter. I don't. I forget. But we have a red file, which means basically if you're out showing a home and you just get a bad feeling or something bad is happening and you don't feel comfortable, call to the office, call me, call Bobby, call somebody, and just say, hey, I need the red file and then the address you're at. So I need the red file at 123 Main Street. We're going to immediately call the authorities, send them out there, and then head your way also. So that way it's a way to kind of, ask for help without that person that's in the room, letting them know that you're asking for help. Really quick, couple of other tips. I used to be on the KYR safety committee. Don't ever be the first person to walk into a room. Always walk second, especially bedrooms or places that don't have any other type of exit. Also, park on the street. Don't allow your car to get trapped in the driveway. Just a couple of quick hitters that can kind of, something you might not think about, but can help keep you safe in the long run. So, all right, let's talk market stats. So biggest thing is, no surprises here, but if we look at how we finished March of 2025 versus 2024, we all know it was down. It actually ended up March being down 25.5%. I'm going to talk about why, because almost all of our markets mirror that at the very end. For now, I'm just going to talk about the stats. Then the other thing that I noticed inside of here is despite the number of sales being down by 35 sales, volume was relatively close. So you see we didn't quite hit the normal volume, but it was relatively close. While inventory did take a ever slow slight dip. So you can see we went from 273 down to 257. We're still up 30 homes available over the previous year, and our inventory is still floating underneath the 3-month mark, which means that it's still a seller's market despite markets trying to change and things along those lines. Looking at the Henderson market, again, kind of similar thing. Henderson's obviously a much smaller area, didn't quite hit the previous year being 40 sales in March, 33. This doesn't include Monday, so I think they actually got to 35. But days on market staying the same. And then again, looking at the listings, significantly more listings for sale in Henderson with 71 available when there used to be only 32, which has caused a pretty good inventory jump. But inventory did drop over the last month. That's mostly just due to the number of active listings staying about the same and then sales dipping down. Overall, 17.5% down. But again, such a small sample size, it doesn't take much to move those numbers. Looking in the Evansville market, so you can see here, kind of the same story, 2,800 last year, just under 2,600 this year. Days on market is staying relatively the same, but you can see despite having less sales, they actually sold more volume, which is just an indicator that at least in the Evansville market, homes are still appreciating at a pretty steady rate. Overall, inventory stayed about the same. Looking at Elizabethtown, again, same story, 687 versus 553 for this month. So about 19, a little under 20% dip there. Days on market staying roughly the same, somewhere around the 100, over 100 to 110 mark. Overall sales were down. Obviously, when you have 100 and something less sales, your inventory, no matter how much it appreciates, going to be down slightly. Overall inventory did kick back up. We had the 1 month in February where it dropped down, and then it's kicked back up to just under 700 there. And then last one, looking at Louisville, you can see pretty close, but not quite the same. 1,086 this March versus 1,193 last March. And then looking at the sales volume, this was a little bit surprising. I expected that to be a little bit closer to previous year just because of the appreciation with Louisville. But this could also mean it was a lot of lower end homes that it made up that change. Overall inventory did take a drop from 3 down to 2, mostly because the inventory didn't change much. You can see here it's only up 14 homes. However, whenever your sales go up from 700 sales a month to 1,000 sales a month, that's the main cause of that dip. So, and again, looking at the Louisville market, right at 9%. So all of our markets were down in the month of March for between 10 and 20%. And I think so I started diving into those numbers and I was like, well, this really just doesn't make sense to me. Like, to be honest, it doesn't. And I started looking at it because if you look at our mortgage rates, you can see over the last few months or last year, we were at 7. Now we're at 6.8. So slightly lower mortgage rate. You think that would lead to more sales. So I started looking and I started comparing, okay, well, maybe it didn't really start to pop for spring until April. So I looked at each different market, looked at the difference between March and April, and actually in half the markets, we did the same amount of sales that we did last March. So I was like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense either. So I went back the last 4 years and our bigger markets being Owensboro, Elizabethtown, and Evansville. Then I went and looked at those. And it ended up that March of last year, for whatever reason, was the most sales we've had of any March since 2020. Which means basically outside of when the pandemic started and or 2021, excuse me, when everybody was buying homes at 3%, we've never really had a March. So I only say that because I want to provide perspective to you. If you just look at the numbers, you feel like the market's way down compared to last year. Well, in actuality, we just had a really strong March. Now, don't get me wrong. It's still a tough market. I think we all know that for sure, but it's not as tough as these numbers are making it look. And I just want y'all to know that in case anybody posts out there, well, real estate market's crashing, you can actually have some data to be able to conflict that, right? I haven't seen anything yet, but we just know it's coming. So just be prepared for that. Ultimately, what it boils down to is we just got to contact more people and find them motivated, and then everything will take care of itself, right? Okay. So a couple of things, just so you know, this is what I was talking about in terms of the news. These are specific predictions that have happened or that have been revised. So Zillow now was predicting a more active housing market in 2025 with increased home sales. They have since modified that. They actually just came out with the Zillow, if you get their emails, their March report, and they basically lowered that down, saying that we're looking the same as 2024. The NAR said the worst is over in terms of low home sales and high mortgage rates, and housing sectors should recover in 2025. Now, I think this will ultimately become true. It's just not true yet. It'll probably happen this spring and this summer as rates continue to go down. Realtor.com, kind of the same thing. Home sales and home prices to increase in 2025. All indicators are we don't really know if that's going to happen or not. It's probably going to stay the same as 2024. And then so on and so forth with Redfin, and we're going to talk about them here in a minute. And then Fannie Mae being the only one that really said 2025 housing market is shaping up to feel a lot like 2024 with limited home sales activity and elevated rates. So far, Fannie Mae's been the only one that's been true, right? So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and how people continue to revise their information. So speaking of mortgage rates, so looking at last week, you can see we were at 6.677, and then FHA and VA at 6.2. Got a little bit of relief, not very much, but a little bit, 6.74, and then 6.6 and or 6.16 and 6.18. Ultimately, everything's kind of staying down, but you'll see there's a lot of volatility in the market right now, and a lot of it has to do with what's going to happen tomorrow, right? We know if you follow the news at all, there's going to be supposedly a bunch of tariffs going to be announced. There's going to be counter tariffs back on us, and the markets are reacting accordingly. Basically, nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, so everybody's kind of freaking out. For whether right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what's happening. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with mortgage rates, and I think that's what's preventing the mortgage rates from going down a little bit more. I don't think tomorrow's going to be anything like what the news is making it sound like. Imagine that, news creating clickbait and all of that stuff. Imagine that. So what I think is gonna ultimately happen, I hope I'm right on this, is that it's gonna, whatever happens tomorrow, and then throughout the course of the week, you'll see all the markets start to correct themselves. And correction could be going back up, or in our case, mortgage rates to continue their kind of steady decline that they did throughout most of the first quarter. So let's get past that. Just some news, FYI for you, doesn't really affect us much, but just more on the loan side. But Rocket Mortgage just acquired Mr. Cooper, and they previously acquired Redfin. So Rocket Mortgage is basically becoming the new Zillow, where they're trying to become a all-in-one shop. The impact of this is Mr. Cooper is the biggest loan servicer in the United States. They serviced, I think, somewhere around 7 million customers. So there's a pretty good chance some of your sellers are currently paying their loans off through Mr. Cooper. They might get notifications over the next couple of weeks that they're going to be changing providers, which means they're going to start asking you questions. All it ultimately means is where they're sending their check is going to change. Outside that, no impact to them, but I want y'all to be aware of that. Also, just really interesting, this means that now Rocket companies, combined everything, Redfin, Rocket Mortgage, which used to be Quicken Loans, and then, of course, Mr. Cooper, they now are servicing $2.1 trillion in loan volume, and this is mind-boggling to me, at least, including 1 in 6 mortgages in America will now be serviced by rocket companies. Yeah, I see your faces. I understand. So now the good news is I've had a lot of clients that have had Mr. Cooper and I've never heard a complaint from him. Yeah. So part of why I think this is a good move in terms of Rocket Mortgage, I don't really like the formation of potential monopolies. And so, that, but the antitrust departments will take care of that if that is a thing. But what I think they're doing is they realize their servicing was not very good. Like anybody who's ever done a deal with Quicken or Rocket Mortgage, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like not great communication, things like that.
Quicken, it's flawless.
Yeah.
Everything I've done with Rocket's been like.
Yeah. So hopefully it'll get better because they're bringing on Mr. Cooper and they're servicing, because Mr. Cooper was the biggest loan servicer, I think, outside of maybe Fannie Mae. So hopefully things will get better from there. We'll see how it plays out. The thing to know from there, from a real estate perspective, is they're going for that all-in-one thing, right? So come contact us. We'll connect you with an agent. We'll connect you with a lender. We'll take care of your title. We'll take care of XYZ and everything in between. So,
want to do the Buc-ee's of mortgage world.
yes, the Buc-ee's of mortgage. That's a great. I'm gonna start using that.
Any of your clients that did have Mr. Cooper, like you could probably reach out to them and like, hey, like you can see like your loan is getting sold.
Yeah.
Don't worry, this isn't a big deal or something.
That's a great idea.
I feel like before I got into real estate, I didn't know what Mr. Cooper was, but like when I asked my sellers, who's your current mortgage clerk? When they say Mr. Cooper, I kind of like remember it because it's like kind of a weird name.
Yeah, you would think it'd be a mortgage servicer. Yeah.
I can like think of a couple right now, and I don't know.
I think that's a great idea to reach out to them and be in front of it. Don't wait for them to reach out. If nothing else, it's a great touch to show that you still care about them and you're paying attention and going to keep them up to date with what's going on. So I love that. And it might be worthwhile just to flip it to an additional touch, because we're going to talk about quarterly touches here in a second. Anyways, you can reach out and ask, hey, is Mr. Cooper happen to be your service provider? I'm calling because they were just acquired, and I wanted to let you know what that means if they're serviced by them. And even if they're not, it's okay because you're still top of mind, right? And that's what the purpose of the quarterly calls is. Speaking of, I just thank you for the foreshadowing right there. March 31st, if you're following our quarterly call plan, then that means that you should be contacting everybody with the last name Y and Z this week, and then sending out text messages to everybody with the F. But like we just talked about, anytime you have a really good reason to reach out to people, whether it be hailstorms and you're checking on them, or in this case, who's servicing your loan, it's worthwhile to do more than just those letters and to make as many contacts as possible. People don't care how much you contact them. Meaning it's okay to contact people 2 times within a month if you're calling for really great reasons that benefit them, and just keep that in mind. So don't forget to ask for business and referrals. Also included, I wanted to include this because I know we talk a lot about quarterly calls and communication. This is the Versus Network and their lead generation playbook. And what they do is they basically give other suggestions for this is just their team, the way they run. I'm not saying this is the right way to do it or the wrong way. I'm just throwing out additional lead gen ideas for you. But they basically have their team members on top of their quarterly calls pick one of 4 plays each week. And the plays are as follows. The first one is the Neighborhood Blitz, where they're going to pick an open house. They're going to door knock 10 surrounding houses 2 days before, reach out to 50 contacts in a TCPA way via email, messenger, text, or call. Open house invites. Basically, they're going to run a 7th level open house. Y'all know what that is, so I'll save you some time on that. The option 2 is a 2-minute drill. They're all football themed, by the way. You'll notice that. And that is to get a list of for sale by owners expired, compile a CMA and a value prop sheet, make face-to-face contacts with 10 sellers and tour the homes, and then establish timelines for follow-up. And then the third one is the Hail Mary, 5 personal contact reach outs for the day, referencing their posts, meaning their social media posts, 5 comments left on social media posts that ask a question, 5 DMs, 5 comments made within a specific real estate groups and pages, and 5 new social media connections, meaning adding friends. Additionally, make 5 posts for the week. 1 should be a live video. So the Hail Mary is all about social media. And the last one is the audible contact, which is 50 text conversations, 50 social media conversations, 100 voice conversations, and then additional sphere of influence, which is communication invitation to the next event that you're having or contest, 50 text message one-on-one conversations, and 50 voice conversations. And that is specifically with your sphere of influence. So whether you want to blitz a neighborhood with open houses, go after some for sale by owners expireds, focus on social media, or continue your normal quarterly calls and sphere of influence calls, you have 4 different plays inside of here that you can now run to do some additional lead generation. I will say, as always, there is no substitute for your quarterly calls. These things should be done above and beyond talking to your sphere of influence. So, okay. Just a reminder, our weekly masterminds, The Market Expert, will continue starting next week. We're going to move it to 10:30 to align closer with being able to go on broker open tours. Also, as a reminder, if you have a home that you would like us to see, let us know. We can go tour your homes as well and make sure everybody knows about all of your new listings that you're taking. We also are making a slight change to the DocuSign and contracts training. These are both now going to be on Thursday with the technology training. It just happens to be DocuSign this week. That'll always be Thursday at 11, followed up directly by a contracts class at 11:30. So we're moving those to back in hopes to be able to increase attendance and let you do all of both your tech and contracts training within 1 hour of one day, so that we're not pulling you away from lead gen and other things outside of that. All right, events, no broker opens scheduled. That's kind of to be expected with it being spring break. Also, I just saw this on Paragon, but there is in April, there's going to be a bunch of 20-minute sessions. You can learn how to do various things inside of Paragon. If any of you are members of GORA, either scan the QR code, or when you log into the MLS, they're going to give you options to be able to attend those things. And then finally, there is a real estate mastermind on PVA tools, tips, and tricks. That is this Wednesday at 11 a.m. at 1413 Triplet Street. So if you would like to learn more about how to utilize PVA, which is, I don't know why you would need help doing that, but it's pretty simple. I don't mean that, it's really simple website, but then you can either attend this or just call me and I'll be glad to help you out. All right, let's
Josh Boltman's coming 24th.
Okay.
In our office in person. It'll be good, like command, and he's gonna one-on-one time if you want to sit down and talk to him about stuff too.
Yeah, and that's he can definitely, it's worth spending some one-on-one time with him, especially if you want to work on like lead generation, running ads, smart plans, stuff like that. So, all right. What listings do y'all have either coming on the market or just had price reductions?
I've got one on Hayden Road that, like, I don't know how much I can say, but she's really, really motivated.
Yeah.
We received an offer that was like 40,000 under, and I mean, she considered it. So
Okay.
That's all. I don't know.
What's your price on? What's your asking price?
164.
164.
So like,
How big is it?
it's almost 1,400 square feet. So like, I'm on them in the team room. Like, really, it is like an investor. Like, it would be a good investor home to send to someone, because if you could get it for the right price, you really could do like a long-term rental.
Yeah, it's like 1,400 square feet.
Yeah.
How many beds and baths?
36, 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and 1 acre. And it's 5 minutes from 54 Walmart. Like, it's a great location.
What's that? What's the numbers on it?
2340 Hayden Road.
All right, I'll check it out.
Yes.
The thing is, that house is, you ought to be able to put a second bathroom in for 1,300 square feet.
What I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, I would send it to investors. Like, that's what I'm gonna do today, because I didn't even know she would consider that low of a price. So like, the numbers would make sense.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Sweet. Love that. Yeah. Our FYI and everybody, and you have our permission to go after it. 375 Hillcrest, it's going to expire in like a week or so. It's the first week of April. I just don't remember the exact date. It's 7th or 9th or something. She's not going to relist with us. My guess is she's probably going to try to go for sub owners. We tried to get her to reduce the price, and she just didn't want to. Feel free to go after that. And if you need any help, let me know. I'd rather somebody here get it than somebody else not get it. So just so you know, but in fair warning, a little bit of a handful, you will talk to her every day for at least 30 minutes. Yeah. So just saying, but more welcome to go after it. All right. Anybody else have anything? Any buyers that need help?
Yeah, I've got one that's like I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what she wants, but she wants like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with like a neighborhood here in Owensboro that has like kids, like. And I recommend like Deer Valley, but she works in Newburgh, so she doesn't.
What's
wanna
the other
be-
side?
Yeah, she doesn't want to be that far, but like she doesn't want to go over 300K. And like she just wanted somewhat updated, but like decent backyard and not an older neighborhood. And like since I'm not really from the area, I don't really know
What price?
neighborhoods like under 300K. 3.2, like decent backyard.
I would look at like on the west side just because it would be somewhat close to her, like Greystone, Windstone, those neighborhoods.
How much?
Under 300. What Keeneland Trace? And I'm trying to think, what's the where's the one Rebecca used to live in? Where do you live?
I'm Winston.
Not Windstone. What's the one?
Greystone.
No, the one farther down out Parish. Whispering Meadows. That might be another good one too. Try those out.
Valley Road got that one, aren't they, Ruth?
Yeah.
Valley Road. Yeah. And Cold Graves is moving.
Oh, is he?
He got one.
Yeah.
He said about it. I think he got Jim Rock.
Bobby, who do you refer to people that you know?
In my neighborhood?
It better be me. Just kidding. That's all he kidding.
Go to Valley.
All right. Well, no, I appreciate y'all. That's all we had.
Matt,
Everybody's on spring break. If you're watching this, then enjoy your spring break. Yes, Monica, go ahead.
I'm sorry. How can I get a list of the things to do off Lee Jen? Where can I find that out? The things you were referencing to that we could do.
Oh, well, that list, we'll send this out here in the next couple hours. So it'll be out to your email.
Okay, thank you, sir. You all have a good week.
You're welcome. Hey, I'm going to pull it back up. You want to take a quick picture real quick, just so you don't have to wait. There you go.
Thank
She can buy the football.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what their website.
Yep.
$40.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all. Have a good Tuesday. Everybody stay dry out there because I guess we're getting a ton of rain over the next week.